AEW did terrible last night. They did 609,000. Yeah, but bro, I guess that the Olympics.
Give me the highest rated
Here.
segment that isn't the opening segment. The highest non-opening segment and the lowest.
Okay, so the quarter hours just came out. He just sent them to his case. So the highest segment was
that isn't the opening.
The Danielson Strickland Danielson the Danielson stuff. The Danielson promo Strickland.
That was the best stuff.
Yeah, when it was at the top of the 9 o'clock hour too, so they did that right. But the other ones were like right at 600,000. That was a 645, and the show actually gained a tad on the main event. Started for like 590,000 and went to 617 to end it. But the highest segment was the over and started was 656. So the first segment was like 599, which is basically 600, and 645 for the Bryan Danielson stuff.
So what was the lowest rated segment?
The one with 584 was very steady throughout. Okay. It was a pretty steady show for a change. I guess basically if you weren't watching the Olympics, you were watching this, and these people just didn't really leave the show at all. 601,000. So that's not that 609,000. That's not very good. But I'm throwing it out there that basically what do you call it? That the Olympics are chewing into wrestling considerably here these past couple of weeks, and I was incorrect in my assumption that it would. So I think you can count on 2 fingers in 7 years the amount of times I've been wrong. I'm sure you.
No. There's a big difference. It's not when you've been wrong; it's when you admit it. You're wrong. You're wrong a lot.
No, that's not true.
Just like when you're going to lose the basketball bet, but we'll get to that in the sport.
The metrics on that are not. I do not agree with you. So let's talk about Dynamite. So I think another reason the show didn't do that well is because, in my opinion, was kind of underwhelming compared to the previous weeks. But we'll get into this here. So it starts off with hang on, this is an WT review. So we're doing Jason Powell's review of AEW Dynamite. Maybe we'll get his POV on some of these segments.
All right.
So MJF comes out. He walked in the ring with a mic. He told the simple-minded folks to keep their methodic mouths shut. That he was going to talk to real America. Said there was no class in the South. Said he's doing his cheap heat sticks. He said he would walk in the enemy territory on August 25th at All In London, beat Ospreay again. And MJF asked the fans to show some respect by standing up for the American hero. Ospreay's music played. He ran to the ring, which led to MJF racing out of the ring. Then Ospreay said MJF should keep running after what he said about his family last week. And Ospreay said America loved their flag just like he loves his country's flag. Ospreay said no one's acknowledging MJF's title after he threw the AEW International Championship in the trash. He praised the former championship holders. There's a USA chant. Ospreay said he gets it, but MJF does not represent the American spirit or work ethic. Ospreay said he'll restore honor to the AEW International Championship. MJF referred to himself as an American hero and said he lets his actions do the talking. MJF said he will annihilate Ospreay in front of his countrymen. MJF said he didn't think Ospreay would make it to Wembley because everybody dies. That's Lance Archer's catchphrase. And Lance Archer comes out for their scheduled match, Will Ospreay versus Lance Archer. This was a very unusual match. Okay, I don't know. Did you watch this match, Konnan, from start to finish? Okay, you're muted.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so this was very weird, in my opinion. Archer hit him with the kitchen sink. Like, he gave him big, huge bumps, but he let Ospreay sell. Okay, this wasn't like, like your typical AEW match where you're throwing 24 ounces of a 12-ounce can. They put 12 ounces in a 12-ounce can, but Lance Archer got a lot of big bumps in on this, which led me to believe like this was a very weird finishing sequence. Okay, so Archer's killing him, just picking him up and giving devastating move like every minute. He's just like hit him with a big move, working the crowd and stuff and everything. So he goes for his blackout finisher. Then Ospreay countered one of those spinning things and countered it into a DDT. Then he hit the hidden blade. Then Archer kicked out, got up and flicked him off, and then Ospreay hit him with another hidden blade. And that was it. 1, 2, 3. And it was kind of weird. So basically, Lance hit this guy with everything. And then all Ospreay did to this big guy that was hitting with everything is give a DDT and 2 sleep at that, and the match was over. And I was like, that was. I would have laid out something way different. I would have laid out a comeback for one thing, like a fiery comeback, which we did not have. He just basically he hit the DDT, got up from selling all these moves, got fired up in the corner, hit the sling blade, rushed, kicked out, flicks him off, and he hit him and do it again. That was it. It was like no comeback or nothing. So afterwards, MJF entered the ring, attacked Ospreay from behind. then put him down with a brain buster and got the diamond ring. But then Kyle Fletcher ran out with Don Callis, and now this is where it gets really weird. Okay, Fletcher cleared MJF from the ring and got on the mic and told Callis that he knows he said they shouldn't get involved anymore, but Ospreay's his best friend and brother. Now the visual of this while this is going on, okay, MJF is at the top of the ramp, okay, selling, okay, because Fletcher's in the ring cutting a fiery promo. Don Callis, I think now maybe he's either standing in the ring, whatever, but Ospreay, who is MJF's opponent, the upcoming match, the main event, is just sitting in the corner selling the entire time during this, in the back corner, the back front corner with Fletcher at the ropes, pointing at the apron, cutting a promo on MJF, and basically called MJF a narcissistic, that he wouldn't let him terrorize the company without repercussions, said he's MJF's karma and coming to bite him. Fletcher said MJF doesn't care about America, only cares about himself. Said he was born in Australia and dreamt of moving to the United States because this is where the best wrestle. So the country has given him his dream house, dream car, and dream wife, and he will be forever grateful. Fletcher said he spoke for everyone when he said he's sick of the unusual MJF and then called for him to come to the ring. MJF stood on the stage and acted like he would come to the ring and then said no. And MJF told wannabe Will Ospreay that he calls the shots, and MJF said if Fletcher wants a match, they can meet next week on Dynamite. And he said if he kangaroo kick his face off, he didn't use that type of language. And MJF said he would make sure that Fletcher meets the same fate as Daniel Garcia by breaking his neck and leaving in a pool of his own blood. And MJF said he couldn't wait to see the look on Ospreay's face when he's done dismantling his boy. And Fletcher raised Ospreay's arm and they hugged us to end the match. And Ospreay didn't get a word. I thought this was just this was very weird to me. Like this segment to sell the Ospreay MJF match. This made it sound like it was going to be like Ospreay and Fletcher at all. What would you think of this? Am I off, or was this kind of weirdly weird? You know.
Well, you kind of put three segments together, so let me break them down.
Right.
The first one was the in-ring promo. Wasn't one of MJF's best, but that's what happened when you put him on the mic every week. You can't hit a home run every time, right? Wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as the other ones. Here's the problem I had, Disco. They tried to make it seem, okay? First of all, they're trying to make two foreigners seem like they're more American than MJF, right? It's number one. That's, a bit of a stretch. Number two, they tried to make a big deal out of him throwing the Intercontinental belt in the trash, which is a secondary belt. But then they tried to sell it like, and this is the word he used, Will Ospreay, all right? He goes, the lineage. What lineage? It's been around for 2 years. And then he goes, oh, guys like Pac and Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong and Ray Phoenix have held it. So, bro, lineage is like, when you say, hey, back in the day, Bruno had the belt and superstar Billy Graham had the belt. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah, not guys from 2 years ago, right? I mean, they try to make it seem like it's this big, important thing, Right. And the other thing, all of a sudden, Fletcher's a baby. Don Callis, who, if I hadn't seen him take that bump on his head, I would think that he painted that scar on. He looks like Frankenstein's monster. Bro, why did he let him get in his grill like that? Why didn't he confront him backstage with the other members or have him laid out?
This makes no sense. The relationship between Kyle Fletcher, Don Callis, Ospreay.
Yeah, this is like, twice they've buried Don.
Why is he still with this? Still giving, hey,
right?
And Don
first, what's this guy's name? Ospreay said, "I don't care. I'm not going to be in the family anymore," and he hugged him. And your thing was, "Oh, he'll get him down the line." Well, I'm still waiting. The same thing with Fletcher. Fletcher gets in his face. Nothing happens. That's a weak villain. Yeah,
you got it. Don Callis needs to be driving this angle and storytelling, selling the narrative here. Whatever's going on,
right?
He didn't even say a word. It's silly to even have him out there in this.
Right. Like, with all the heat he has.
He's still got a lot of heat. Right. And he's
one of their best talkers, and he knows how to explain storylines.
And his guys are baby faces now.
Yeah, that's not Don. If it was up to Don, he would have gotten on the mic, right? I can see him going, hey, don't you want me to say anything? Oh, no, it's okay. Right. Like, dude, listen to the guy. He's over. Anyway, so bro, I like Will Ospreay a lot, maybe more than you do, and I've always liked him for a long time. As a matter of fact, when he was 6 years ago, I invited him to AAA, but he said he didn't want to leave England. But anyways, when he talked, first of all, he doesn't look like a star, okay? And number two, he has more Ospreay.
Doesn't look? Oh, he doesn't. No.
He doesn't look like a star.
No.
And I'll give you an example.
No, he doesn't dress like a star.
Both.
That's because he does look like. Because bro, look at when he comes out his ring gear. He comes out with a big flamboyant robe, and he looks like a star when he comes out to wrestle.
Yeah, but
for promos,
when he does for promos, which you look like a star, he doesn't. Okay, right. He doesn't really talk like a star. He sounds like he has marbles in his mouth. He even mumbled a couple words. You know, he's got that thick British accent that you can't really.
If you get an argument with a soccer fan at a pub, that's what this guy sounds like.
Right. So he doesn't enunciate clearly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, right. And the other guy comes out looking like a bathhouse honey. I don't know what he was wearing, with like a half a shirt. One pant leg was up, the other one wasn't. I was like, "What's this?"
Right.
He did. I mean, he did show some fire, but he might have shown some sugar in the tank. Nothing.
Right.
And but it was a good promo. I did like that. At least they set up for a match for next week. But we all know that that's not what really matters, right? I think since he already beat, what's this guy's name? Since MJF already beat Ospreay, he's going to return the favor in Wembley in front of his home fans, okay? And then, and God forbid this happens, but knowing them, they probably will. He'll probably come back to the United States and rename it the American Intercontinental Championship or whatever.
Something like that, yeah, whatever.
Right. Very weird because they mentioned Daniel Garcia, and I'm thinking, because I read today that it said he might resign with AEW. I don't know how credible that source is.
Let me tell you what this is. What was reported. I guess as I listened to Dave or somebody said this.
Right. That's why I read it. I think
is that the reason they did this angle, okay, to put him on the shelf, is he's in the midst of a contract negotiation, and if he leaves, they can just write him off. But if he comes back, they can write him back in.
Right.
Okay. Which is weird. Like,
so how do you write him back in if you've already made up your mind that at Wembley it's going to be Ospreay and MJF?
I don't know.
Unless he interferes.
Kind of a weird way to go. Like you took the long way to get to the
right.
Like
can't you sign him and spare yourself this problem? They had the same problem with Omega. Like they literally signed him, I think, the last month of his contract. Why are you waiting so long? You know.
All right, here we go.
Let me just finish. So they were all in on Daniel Garcia until you told me this story. Bro, they've been 5 years trying to get this guy over, okay, or make him a star. And we used to say back in the day, him and Jimmy Utah, they don't have star qualities, and you can't make a star that quick. And they still haven't done it. I'm not saying he isn't over. He just isn't a star, right? We knew back then. Well, I actually argued this with you, but I told you Darby and OC will be stars before they will, which they have. And let me just say about the Murder Hawk situation. So they introduced him, and he comes out in big letters, Disco, Murder Hawk Monster, right? Because he beat up guys in the backstage for the last 2 weeks. I guess that's how they reset storylines. Right. They have him beat people. And then it had his record underneath, Disco. It was something like 80-something and 17. And I'm like, why is this being put up? Who cares? What effect does it have on anything? Just knock it off already, right?
Right.
And he started the match with a choke slam. Boom.
Yeah,
Bro, imagine if you would have beat him right there. You make Lance again. This guy maybe has a neck injury, comes back. But you could have made Lance, but what you did is you did what you always do. You make it look like he's going to win, and he doesn't, like you do with Brian Cage. Why are these big, talented guys that ain't like they're goofballs that can't go? Why are they jobbed out like this?
Because if you never were behind the curtain, you don't realize it. You have to hold yourself to the principles of the suspension disbelief. And try to make it look real. And just like if you've never been in booking rooms where you just can't, but you can't constantly have the little guys win every single time. Like 90% of the time they wrestle big guys, the undersized guy wins.
Right, and they're not, and it ain't like they're clumsy guys that can't go.
Right.
So this guy, you again reset him. You haven't beat people in the back. He comes out. And he gets beat again. Yakai.
All right, so let me read Powell's POV on this. All right. Ospreay and Fletcher both did a really nice job playing to the American fans despite being foreigners who are working against a heel acting like a great patriot. The Ospreay versus Archer match was well worked and got over with the live crowd. Fletcher now feels out of place with Callis, though I suppose he could always turn on Ospreay at some point. Yeah, I don't know. This could be a thing where they're setting up Ospreay to get turned on by Fletcher because that's what Callis is going to do to get back at him. All right,
I do like MJF referring to himself as an American hero, and I think it would be funny if remember that movie, The Last Great American Hero.
Yes.
He should call himself that, the
So,
last great American hero.
so this is hysterical. So Alex Mays interviewed Jericho backstage. I had no clue about this. So Jericho legit in that match where him and Suzuki chopped each other for 100 times, Jericho broke his pinky.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
It says pinky to cast. He broke his pinky chopping Suzuki so much.
Wow.
Isn't that hysterical?
Yep.
What is basically the weirdest comedy match you could do, which actually hurts for a comedy match because you're constantly getting chopped in the chest where your chest is bleeding and you broke your pinky doing what was basically a comedy match. That's that to me is just
ironic.
2024 modern wrestling and like the old school guys trying to do modern school wrestling in a nutshell, right? So Jericho said, they had a cake. Bill said it's celebrating Jericho holding the FTW title for 102 days. It's pretty funny. Yeah, they had the number 102 on the cake. Jericho said the cake would not end up in anyone's face like it normally does in pro wrestling. I thought that was funny. Jericho said Shibata had no one left to help him, and they set up Shibata versus Keith for next week. And then Brian Keith cut a promo on the mic. He's
brutal Bob Evans.
Brutal Bob Evans. And then the Bill handed the cake to Marvez, and then Brian Keith teased shoving it in Marvez's face.
He should have.
Right. So next we do Statlander against Willow. This has been built up for a while. So they had a pretty good, back and forth match, kind of clumsy in spots. But once again, they do a finish, which required the referee looking like an absolute imbecile. Okay, so this girl, our girl, what's her name? Aubrey. So Stokely comes up on the apron, and this is what happens when you get a lot of green wrestlers involved. Bro, Statlander just took forever going to get the chain, wrapping the chain around. Willow coming up, taking forever to come up and sell, and then finally, Statlander clotheslines her with the chain and covers her, but doesn't really cover the chain up. And Aubrey Edwards had to not see this whole sequence behind her back for it was just brutal. So then after the match, Statlander slammed a chair over Willow's back twice, and she wound up to do it again and wait until security arrived. It was everybody missing their cues. Security was late. So Statlander dropped the chair and then took down one of the security guards, and she's going to hit him, but Hathaway stopped her. What do you think of this?
Well, they work well together. This feud started off really hot for me, and I was really into it, but it's cooled off, and I've lost my interest, and that's all I can really say about it.
So Bryan Danielson comes out for a promo and basically says that his contract is up after a certain day, and he said he's been very lucky in his career. So he actually said the last 3 years have been incredible and the funnest time of his career, even though he's been injured twice. That's hysterical. They were doing thank you, Brian chants. Daniel said there's just some moments he will never understand, and he thanked the fans. He turned the focus to promises. He promised his daughter that he would stop wrestling when she was 7. Said he promised his family that his contract with AEW would be the last one he signs. He said when he came to AEW, he would kick people's heads in and win the AEW World Championship. He said he's kicked a lot of heads in over the past 3 years but he has not won the championship yet. Said he promised that he would go to Wembley and be present for that moment and give every single thing he has. And said that he would go all in with his mind, body, and soul. Swerve comes out. They did the Swerve's house, the Who's House, Swerve's house stuff that got over with the crowd. Swerve told Danielson he respects the hell out of him. He said Danielson inspired an entire generation of wrestlers. Said he'd be rooting for Danielson and on any other occasion, but this is his time. He said he came to AEW and said he would win the AEW World Championship, and he did. He said he's so ahead of his time that 10 years from now, people are going to want to sit back and press rewind. Swerve said Danielson came to AEW and said he wanted to kick everyone's head in, but he couldn't handle it when they started kicking back. That was a good line that got an ooh from the crowd. Swerve told Danielson the title is not an achievement award. He says something that shows that you're the best in the world. And he got in Danielson's face and said, I am the best in the world. And noted that Danielson lost to Will Ospreay, whereas he beat him. And he said his team went blood and guts where Danielson's team lost. He said he wrestled in front of 80,000 people. Danielson was too broken down to even go to London. Swerve said maybe Danielson's body can't handle it. Said he had his own promise. I promise you I'm the most dangerous man in AEW. And I also promise you this, that you would not walk out of All In as champion. After I'm done with you, you may never walk again. So Swerve started to leave the ring, and Danielson said one more promise. I promise if I don't win the AEW World title, I will never wrestle again. And Swerve nodded and grinned, and Danielson said, your title versus my career at All In. And Danielson extended his hand, and Swerve shook his hand and said that was very noble of him, but he shouldn't keep that promise with him. He should keep it with his family. And Swerve posed the championship while Danielson stood stone-faced. This is a really good exchange, and Swerve's best mic work in a while. I only have one issue with this. Bro, usually when you're putting your career on the line, the other guy has to put something up. Like it'd be like I'm going to put what like.
Isn't he putting the title on the line?
He already was putting the title up. That's why this is weird.
Oh, okay.
Like why? It's like this would have been a situation where if Swerve wasn't giving him a title shot, that Danielson would say, "Okay, I'm going to put my career. I will never wrestle again once you put the title up." But he already had the title put up. So I thought this was like a dumb. Like why would he say that? What'd you think of this?
Well, I like the beginning when Nana comes out and he's doing the watch me whip, watch me nene, and all the white boys with no rhythm are trying to emulate him. That always makes me laugh. Not as over as the thing Uso does with the yeet. But so Bryan Danielson said his contract ends tomorrow, but he plans to be at All In. So that means he's working All In with no contract?
Yes.
So obviously he's going to sign a contract for All In, which leads me to believe he's going to win. And the thing is, Swerve has a lot of momentum and you're about to take it off of him. But I think they're going to give it to the guy who's about to retire, who never won it. Feel good story. And I think Tony's a big fan of Bryan Danielson. So, kind of like when Sting left, that they made, he didn't want to lose and they made sure he won on his way out. Like they do have a lot of respect for wrestlers that way. So I think Bryan Danielson wins, but until you told me that logic and loophole, I thought it was a good idea, career versus title, because you don't know which way they're going to go. Yeah.
I just don't know. It's a good twist, but
yeah,
it made no sense from a character standpoint why Danielson would have offered that.
Right.
So they go backstage, and Danielson was met by the Jarretts and Jay and Sanjay and them, and they were saying that they were giving him applauding his promo, saying that's how you go all in. And he shook his hand out to he slapped Jarrett's hat out of his hand and told him he wants to see if he's all in, that he should face him next week. And he was like, he turned on Jarrett like right there, like got mad at him for some. I have no clue why. Do you know why he got mad? Why he was mad?
What? Say it again.
He cut a promo on Jarrett and challenged him to a match the next week after Jarrett gave him a fired up promo the week before.
Who did?
That's Jeff. Jeff, remember, had the promo with Bryan Danielson in the back last week.
Right.
That I remember. Firing him up. Right. So now he comes back and Bryan Danielson's going to Jeff, and Jeff's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like they say. And then Danielson slapped his hat out of his hand and said, well, if you want to see what's all in, fight me next week. It's like, why did he get mad at it? Why was he mad there?
Bro, you know what happened? And again, I was blazed. I thought for some reason they were repeating the same promo from last week. Right. For some reason, I fast forwarded through it.
Okay, all right. So that's what the challenge. They're going to have a match next week, and I thought that these guys could have had a better, longer program leading up to their match, because we had talked about that last week.
Right.
How Jeff and Danielson could do like a good 4 weeks of TV leading up to match, but apparently they're just hot-shotting it. So, all right. So this is a weird match. Okay, tell me if you heard this too. So Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Ishii. Now, when the announcers announced this next team that came up, okay, they announced, this is how he announced it, right? He said, Roderick Strong, okay? Then I swear the announcer said, El Taurus, Bruce, and then said the Beast Mordos.
I did not know that.
I wonder if he read the card, like, had it, because the Beast Mordos is Taurus, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But he said, Roderick Strong, and he said, El Taurus.
Well, I did not.
Maybe I got that wrong. That's what I heard, because I thought they announced the guys wrong. So, but this is just a basic 6-man tag with a bunch of false finishes, and the heels went over because they beat up they finished Briscoe, and this was up. But the Beast Mortis and Briscoe wrestled Ring of Honor. So I'm assuming they're going to have a Ring of Honor title match, and they wasted a whole AEW segment to put a
right. Because Tony somehow thinks that renaming it AEW Ring of Honor is going to make it a bigger deal. I'm
of course
like,
not.
No, it's not, dude. And here's the only thing that I didn't like about this. Isn't Strong in a tag team with Bennett and Tabin?
Yeah.
Why wasn't he with them? Why was he with Mortis and
no idea. Like I said, this is an unnecessary thrown together match. Which, like I said, if they had less of these on the show and more like couple weeks of build up, this
would be a way better show.
So they in the interviewed caster and those guys in the back with the gun, Billy Gunn, and they said they were looking for FTR in their own home territory, but they were nowhere to be found. They buried him.
Okay, so
Well,
They've
let me
been
finish.
okay.
Let me finish this. So Caster said he wanted to see the two guys. He said he's not a serious wrestler because he makes rap videos. He said maybe FTR are not serious wrestlers since they didn't show up in their own hometown. Bowen said they would come to FTR by appearing on Saturday's Collision. And Bowen's wondered if FTR would show up and told him to nut up or shut up. Let me read you Powell's POV on this. This put FTR in a bit of a weird spot, but we'll see how they explain it on Saturday night. Caster labeled himself the best wrestler in the world. The recent intensity of Bowens has me wondering if he claimed to go to turn heel. Oh, and Billy Gunn is still getting TV time. Go ahead.
Yeah, Billy looks out of place with those guys, but so the first time I heard this guy say I'm the best wrestler in the world, the one that raps, was on that Chris Van
Vliet, yes.
Van Vliet show, right?
But he said he was the best wrestler in the world?
Yeah.
Max Caster said that?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, dude, you're not even the best wrestler on your team. There's Bowens is way better than him. But he said it's
such an egregious thigh slap. I would agree with that.
He's been saying it so many times that it's got to be a rib, a work, or he's going to turn on the other guy. Right? Because I don't think they're as hot as they used to be. And I said it, they're going to cool off. But then again, what doesn't cool off? So, yeah, I just wanted to make that point.
All right. So they had Paquette in a backstage pre-taped interview with Mariah May. She said how she earned Tony Storm's trust and sliced her open and wore her skin. And Paquette said, asked May what Storm ever did to her. And May said nothing, and that's why she was perfect. She said she loved Storm, and she gave everything she ever wanted. Then May recalled Storm saying the business would eat her alive. And May said it's just her time to eat. May said she was not answering more questions, but led Paquette to make an uncomfortable exit. Not bad. This was a decent little heelish promo. So then they go to Tony Storm, and she walks out on the stage. And just in this overly dramatic acting, she was dressed in black and had her head held, she held her title belt. Then Storm, she's acting like crying and Storm recalled May saying she loved her, but then she loved May too. And Storm said it'd be the romance of a bloody lifetime at Wembley, and she was like yelling like a maniac. And this Tony Storm promo added nothing to this match and actually was cringe. Based on the promo that Mariah May had cut just seconds before, in my opinion. Because I thought Mariah May cut a good promo. What'd you think?
I didn't like Mariah's promo because it didn't add anything to it. It didn't make me want to see it anymore. And that's the object of a promo like that. I did like that it was in a different scenery. It looked kind of classy, but I thought it was kind of stupid.
Right.
And then bro, so Tony, at first, when they first showed her, they only showed her face. They didn't show her body. At first, I thought it was like Tammy Sitch. You know what I'm saying? Like she looked deranged.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like Joe on one of his loose cannon Twitter rants. And like her face is all white, her hair is, and then she's hitting herself in the head with the shoe. And I was like, what's going on? It's like she's losing her mind kind of, right? But physically, she did not look attractive, and I think that's what they were trying to do.
Right.
I mean, facially either, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll just spoiler alert. The next thing is made to my top 5 this week. Camille versus Brittany Jade. Minute 15 seconds. Camille, the first 15 seconds of that match, you were like, okay, this girl looks like easily the toughest girl in this division. In real fights, she would win every real fight.
Right.
Like right off the bat, you just got that from her. She was clobbering this girl.
I think, dude, she's a Georgia girl too.
Is she really? Because
let me look at her.
She looked like so much next level above all these other girls in this like 1 minute match. Like she looked like she had the Jade Cargill size, but more polished
with ability, right?
With more polish, right? And she clobbered this girl. So after the match, Monet entered the ring and put her foot on.
Real quick, let me tell you where she's from. She's from Durham, North Carolina. She played Division I softball at Campbell, was a member of the Atlanta Steam in the Legends Football League.
Yes. We interviewed her.
Did we?
Talked about all this. Yes. Yeah. All right. So
we did. We did interview her. That's right. Yeah.
All right. So she looked great. And absolutely, she will be the focal point of the women's division in AEW. So after Monet entered the ring and put her foot on Jay while Camille raised her hand, and Monet said Camille is the newest member of her corporation. And she tossed the girl out of the ring and said he could see why Camille is called the Brick House. Monet said she was victimized by Britt Baker for weeks and some DMD chants broke out. Monet said she tried to be diplomatic, but Baker took it too far and is obsessed with her. The Monet said Baker stunned at Comic-Con, got her a title shot, and also got her suspended by the EVPs. And Monet said AEW is her house now, and she will turn it into a mansion. Well, what did you think of that? But Monet's mic work is so. I mean,
terrible.
When she's out there by herself cutting a promo,
right.
It's brutal. When she's with somebody else that can play off that and cut her down for things she said, it was good. Like Britt Baker and Monet had a good exchange, but Monet's standalone promos are just like.
Even in the WWE, we were saying it back then. Remember?
Right.
Talking is not her strong point, and she kind of talks weird.
Right.
You know, she's a
like
good
what's she trying to do? You know, like I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's some weird accent she has, and it's her words come out kind of. She's very unlikable, which is the job of a heel. Okay. Camille actually talks better than her. They should let Camille talk, but she's not the star right now. Maybe they want to be the strong, silent type. What I don't understand is, see, this is what makes no logic to me. Why it has no heat? Why does Tony Khan let the EVP suspend anybody? What, do they have power over him now?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? And not that I really care, but where's Jack Perry? Where's Okada?
A lot of guys.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't know, man. So now we go to the perfect example. Let me read Powell's POV from that Camille and Monet segment.
Right.
The match was exactly what it needed to be in terms of Camille squashing her opponent and showing off her size and power.
Right.
Monet's promo was par for the course. Baker suspended by the EVPs. Why would the Tony Khan character allow that? By the way, they've done a terrible job of making the Darby Allin versus Hangman match feel like a big deal. Which it was not a big deal. It's like I don't know
he's
what.
Right. That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Why would they? Right, bro. I'm not the only one thinking this. I'm thinking what? Yeah. So, and then the other thing, he's right. They didn't do bro. They did no promos. They did no video packages. They didn't say coming up at the end of the show. They did nothing to make this unique. Those are two of their bigger stars.
They did the blood and guts match last week, which is supposed to be the blow off of an angle, and they're coming back with two of the guys in the match. And what I guess Tony thinks these are two over characters, but a match with no build up and no stakes. They wrestle 17 minutes just to have a good match, and the ending sequence is weird because Paige was killing him, and he wasn't pinning him, and they did a deal where Darby did some loop to loop thing and roll over and hooked him in the 3 count afterwards, and Paige got afterwards and barked at the referee. And then Paige went to ringside and pulled several chairs from out from under the ring and tossed him in the ring. Then Allen was seated on the bottom entrance of the ramp and flipped off Paige, and like that was it.
Yeah, that was not
they were yelling at each other at the end of the show, and that's like, bro, that's what we talk about. What good episodic television is when a segment or a show ends. You're asking the question. Your anticipation is to okay, what's going to happen next?
Right.
This was like the end of this was just like.
The guy flipping him off. Okay, that's
the end of the Sopranos.
Where's a cliffhanger for next week? You know,
right? You know,
like that's one good thing we've been doing on AAA TV. We always leave a cliffhanger at the end of the show where you have to see. Like we did one where I'll give you just one example. We did one where Latin Lover, who hadn't been on our TV for years, and me and him had personal beef that we turned it into a storyline. I show up and we're looking at each other face to face, right? And everybody's wondering, okay, is Konnan going to tell him something? Is he going to tell Konnan something? Is he going to punch him? But you had to wait to the next week to see it. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this about Darby Allin. I think out of everybody in that promotion, maybe besides Roosh, he's my favorite because everything he does looks pretty good.
Right, he brings it, but you can't. He can bring it. He's only 170 pounds.
Yeah, but he brings it.
It's like the guy's not going to really hurt you.
Yeah,
you know? It's like,
but he still brings it.
Hit by a 340-pound guy. He's like, right. So it's like,
yeah, but he brings it. A lot of guys don't his size, and the other guy brings it too. And I thought for sure there was going to be blood in this match, and there wasn't. So kudos to that. It was just kind of violent. All
right. So let me just say something here real quick. Okay. So this is like when we talk about cliffhangers and stuff, so the opening segment did not really leave a cliffhanger on what's going to happen next, except, Fletcher's wrestling MJF next week, I guess. So,
right.
But the Ospreay angle, nothing. Jericho, no cliffhanger. So the Statlander Willow match ended with Statlander just being, she went over and got heat after the match. So there's really no cliffhanger there. There's a cliffhanger with Bryan Danielson for him in his match with Swerve coming up, and maybe next week for Jeff Jarrett. There is no cliffhanger for Monet and Baker because he suspended Baker. So that didn't really have a cliffhanger there. The 6-man, nothing. There was just a meaningless match.
Let me tell you. So the Monet thing, right? So they have their first meeting where they got on the mic and it was really hot. Then the next meeting, she ran away from her. Then the next meeting, I think she ran away from her again.
Right.
Then this meeting, she didn't even show up.
Right.
That's brutal storytelling.
Right. So then I guess there's a cliffhanger with Caster and them calling out if FTR is going to appear at Collision, but that nobody really cares. Then the Monet stuff, or the Mariah May Storm match, like, Storm was okay, they're going to have a match, but this didn't add much to it. Then they had and then the main event. There's nothing forwarding any of that stuff. There was no Adam Page with Swerve. They didn't relive any of that. There was no, I don't know. So whatever. Like I said, this was not much of a show.
Babyface, we don't know. Don Callis does nothing about it. Daniel Garcia was supposed to be an all-in. Now he's not. Right. I mean, there's just so much craziness still going on.
All right, so that's been our AEW Dynamite review.
Boom.
Yo, what's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.